Welcome to Tampa's Table, a culinary journey. I'm Jeff Hauk. I'm Vice President of Marketing for the 1905 family of restaurants. With me today is John Atanacio, who is the executive chef at the Epicurean Hotel, which includes many concepts under one roof, which we'll talk about. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Excited to have you here. You don't know this. I was a food writer when they broke ground at the Epicurean in 2012. And I was like, okay, there's no airport, there's no roller coaster, there's no convention center, there's no beach. It only exists because of food. It's a food-themed hotel.
Right.
And that was completely badass to me because I was like planting a flag for food in Tampa and saying, this is strong enough to create the link. Clearly right across the street from the steakhouse, right down the street from Haven, which I think was Sideburns at the time.
Yep.
But I thought this is a page in the culinary history of Tampa that was very important. I want to know how you got your way to Epicurean.
So my in-laws lived here for a long time when me and my wife first started dating, and we'd come and visit, and that's like back in 2006, 2007. There wasn't really much here, culinary wise. So I was like,
it was just starting at that point.
So I'm born and raised from New York, and then being a big fish in a big pond, you're like, well, how do you have to be super good. You got to completely dedicate, which I was, but then there's that much more out there. So I was like, I came down here. I was like, why not be a bigger fish in a smaller pond?
See, I think that's actually hard because it's like, you have a dining culture well established for generations in New York City and an expectation. And you have all these restaurants that, they just spit out great chefs and great cooks and everything. And you have a staff and everything. Coming here, you really have to work hard, I think, to establish yourself. But do I understand that you were practicing the dog daycare arts at one point before your chef career?
Yes. The story goes, I was working at doggy daycare, Upper West Side.
Sure.
And that's not as fun as it sounds.
No.
Great job, really easy.
Very loud.
Yes. Right out of college. College graduate, just hanging out. And I saw a commercial for a cooking school. I was like, yeah, I could do that. Literally. That's what I said. So I applied, and it's like 20.
Which school was this?
At the time, it was New York Restaurant School. I guess it was bought out by the Art Institute.
Right.
So then I just went to school, and I loved it. And then I did my internship, and I second guessed it.
What was it that you loved about it? What was the immediate hook? Like, oh yeah, this is it.
It's got to be the hands-on. It's got to be there's a lot. I mean, if you're a chef nowadays, you're a repairman, you're an electrician, you're a therapist, but you also have that artistic part of it, and then you have that making people happy part of it. So there's a lot involved, and I think if I did anything else, I'd be bored, to be honest.
Your hair's on fire every day, all day.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, you've produced something that is absolutely tangible.
Right.
And then you get up and you do it again, and then you do it again. And it's just, there's always this, moving pieces that you can never predict. You can predict some of them.
Right.
But there's a whole bunch that you have to react to in real time. And I don't know that everybody understands the allure for somebody who thrives on new things to be in that kind of environment. I'm guessing that's your personality.
Yeah. I mean, when I started out, there was no Food Network.
Right.
Well, chefs weren't cool.
Right.
I learned the hard way. My internship, I picked it because I was like, if I'm going to do this, I want it to be hard. And I picked a hard one.
Which one did you pick? I
worked for Payard Patisserie and Bistro. And it's kind of still the food I kind of reflect back to. And I was there. I only worked 3 days a week. I worked for free.
As a lot of people do when they start out.
Right.
They'd stage, or they'll just like, please take me in and put a knife in my hand and let me do something.
Exactly.
Right. I'll wash dishes,
It's funny because after the first night, I was like, because first night being that was my first night ever in a real kitchen.
Wow.
And at the end of the night, I was exhausted. I had no idea what just happened. I was getting yelled at in a heavy French accent all night long, responsible for 2 dishes. And then we're like, okay, let's
Which 2 dishes?
I was making, and then I was making bouillabaisse and the fries for the steak frite.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
And at the end, I was exhausted. I was like, what did I just get myself into? And then we had to clean. And I was like, oh my God, I got it. No. And then you're just like, oh my God. But the one thing one of the few things that I do remember and kind of blew me away was the first time I had foie gras was there. They did a foie gras train super classic, but the scraps were always
The
kept.
terrine was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the scraps were from the terrine were always kept in my fridge. So I would go and,
It's
like,
like, "Oh, some chips fell off the poker table."
oh my god, they were so good,
I
you
fell in
know?
love with foie early, and I can sit here and just glaze over thinking about it.
So it was like one of those first, like, chef aha
Right,
moments,
right.
you know? Um, so, like, being in the business, when I finally came down here, it's funny because they gave my wife a job before me. Um, my wife was hired as a manager at Sideburns.
Right,
I went in there with her, both with resumes, and I didn't have a job when we
right,
moved.
right.
They hired her, and then they kept me in the wings for Epicurean, so that's kinda how I got in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I when I was a, writer for the Tampa Tribune, I spent a night as sort of a gopher in the kitchen at, Sideburns.
Ah, okay.
And I picked the time, and I watched the most triumphant entrance of one of the prep guys who came in with all of the Red Bull that everybody needed for the night in these T-shirt bags, and everybody descended upon him like it was Lord of the Flies, and they let me stir this, and they let me cut this, and there was a guy named Asbel Reyes who was, like, filleting monkfish, the ugliest fish I'd ever seen in my life, and, I was trying to keep up with everybody, and Chad Johnson, the chef at the time, said, "It's better to be good than to be fast. You will learn to be fast if you learn to be good first." And I'm like, "Oh, there's a mantra I have to get tattooed on my forehead," you know? But him and Courtney and the whole team were
Mhm.
I was just so knocked out by their professionalism, how much they cared. You know, Chad couldn't get enough he couldn't tuck enough, offal under the menu,
Nope,
and try new things.
still does.
Still does, yeah, it's like, "Oh, don't you want some of that?" "We made some liver ice cream." But anyway, I just had mad respect for it, so to hear that that's where you kinda was your entry point, I
Mhm.
think is huge. Now, your journey led through Bern Steakhouse at one point, right?
Yeah, so I worked in Epicurean, I became a CDC probably, like, about a year in, and then working with Chad, I was exposed to a lot of people,
Right.
which was perfect, which is what I was looking for. Um, and then I got an opportunity to open another hotel for Mainsail, which was
Mhm.
the Carol, and then that happened during COVID.
And
So
Mainsail, just to explain a little bit, Mainsail Lodging, is the one who operates and built the Epicurean. There was a partnership with Bern's Steakhouse where the Burns had the land for the parking garage and whatnot, so they all kinda came together and made this beautiful food-themed restaurant, and if you haven't been there, you need to go because it's unlike any place you've ever seen.
yeah.
I just and especially for that window in time.
Mhm.
So what did being in the Burns ecosystem teach you about, first of all, back of house, but also front of house?
Wow, that's funny. When you walk into Burns, I was a culinary director for 2 years, and my job was to kind of push for change. And you're walking into a building that doesn't change.
Even
Um,
though Bern was a guy who loved to change things.
that's why he was so successful
Yeah,
because he kept changing
yeah,
and he kept growing. Um, so that was a big one for me, and not just back of house, but obviously front of house.
right.
And I did a lot of listening for a long time. Probably for the first 6 months, I would listen to people. I would have conversations and just kind of feel out where they were.
Mhm.
I feel out where things could, you work with small steps. What can you do to help? Let's make this a little bit better. Let's make that a little bit better. Okay, we need to change this you know, and that's not hard in that building. It's
Yeah, and I know Hab, was the executive chef when I was a food writer, and I would see his command of it, but you see how everybody had their contribution, they took it very seriously.
mhm.
The thing that really made an impression upon me was the sign over the kitchen door that said, "Quiet, please."
Yep.
And if you hear a loud kitchen, it's an inefficient kitchen. It is not being well led.
Yep.
And that, I mean, you could heard a pin drop. Everybody would, the noise of cooking or whatnot, but there were no arguments, nothing like you see on The Bear or anything like that. It's all very, controlled. We all know our roles because we've been trained properly to do them the
Right.
way that Burns is. So the thing that gets me about being in charge of culinary at a place like the Epicurean, first of all, there's an expectation because Burns
Right.
and also Mainsail
Mhm.
and the autograph collection that you're a part of at the hotel. It's like maintaining a cruise ship that doesn't leave the land. There are so many different elements between the room experience, especially at Epicurean. I'm telling you your business, by the way. This is where I sit here
That's
and
fine.
I'm sorry. By the way, your name's John.
Yeah.
The experience with the butcher block counters and the best mini bar, I think, in Florida, where you just open it and you're like, well, I don't need to ever leave the room again. I
Right.
could just go hermit. And then you have Elevage downstairs. You have the Edge upstairs.
Mhm.
Even the pewter bar down right outside of Elevage is its own experience. Then you have the kitchen theater where it's a culinary, almost like an amusement park. There's
Yeah.
just so much entertainment. How do you keep tabs on all of them and keep pushing each one of those to be different and better because they're all vastly different operations?
Overseeing all of it, it's kind of become the dream job, really. I was there. I was second in command for a while, and then I was like, I had so many ideas. Now you put me in that position. Now I can
Mhm.
push a lot of that.
Mhm.
I got a lot of support from my GM, Sean Rowden. He's 50% of the reason why I came back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Um, Great guy to work for. Will always tell me, w- give me direction as opposed to tell me what to do. And you can't find that
Right.
really. From the restaurant, you're a food and wine themed hotel. It's almost an open book. I try to keep things simple, almost like casual, refined dining.
Right.
It's a good way to put it,
No, I
actually.
like that.
I like that too. I'm gonna keep that.
We're gonna trademark 5% to Visit Tampa Bay.
um, and then the theater is something I just thought it was untapped. People like to know.
Mhm.
So do it in front of them. And the first thing I started doing was test kitchen. The premise behind it is I would test out seasonally. So we do every quarter,
Mhm.
we do seasonally. And the first time I'm making it is the first time you're seeing it. And if we like it or not, we maybe put it on the menu, we might not. The funny thing is I'm going to do what I want anyway. Um, but it's gotten a little bit of a following and
Right.
people tend to come to those more because that's where a lot of the creation happens. And you're watching us talk about it,
Right.
and the chefs are like, we're tasting it with them, and they're enjoying it, and it's really casual. But they can come up, take pictures, try stuff with us.
Right. Well, it's a hell of a tool to have in-house, to have a theater, number one, but also the multimedia that goes with it. I mean, the technology is incredible. You can host events or you can produce your own content,
Right.
which, everybody has to do these days in social media, as you know. Again, I'm telling you, your business. But the other part of it is we have a wine store next door,
Mhm.
the old Bern's Wine and Spirits. You have all these different things from the rooftop down to even the ice cream shop that's right across the
Yep.
driveway. I mean, there's a 360 kind of experience to it. It's something that I wish more people appreciate. I mean, I would get down on my knees and genuflect every day because that doesn't exist anywhere else. How do you bring Tampa into the equation? What part of it do you make it, a Tampa experience and not just a hotel experience?
I think just putting a lot of my heart into it,
Hmm.
being myself.
Hmm.
Being from New York is great, and it gave me a great experience. That's where I got my chops. But coming here, I've been welcomed with open arms, and I'll never forget that.
Well, I see the number 7 train in
Yeah,
Queens on the
yeah.
Queen's Finest and
I'll
Silver
never,
Cup Studios in the background
yeah.
there.
I'll never forget where I came from.
Right,
But I'm never gonna forget the people who brought me to where I am today.
right.
And that's not just New York. Tampa's been a huge part of that. I never got to travel when I was in New York. I never got to do stuff like this, you know? The podcast didn't really exist back then.
Back then, all we had was the internet
Right.
and the blog. There
The
was one guy. No, I get it. I totally get it. When Tampa starts showing up in the James Beard Awards, and this the nominations, that's never, Burns has obviously won awards for the wine.
Mhm.
But Chad was nominated for Best Chef South at one point, along with Richard Gosmar for Best Restaurateur, and Greg Baker was also a nominee for Best Chef South. I asked Chad, when would we know that we were making progress? Because it felt like progress. And he goes, when we stop losing talent and we start attracting talent from outside.
Right.
And you're a perfect example of that. I mean, it's like when people look at it and say, oh, I can make my mark there, or I like that cool concept, I can put my cool concept here. That's a different magnetic pull.
Mhm.
And I know, listen, there's a million wonderful restaurants in New York City. We're never going to be in New Orleans. New Orleans is its own thing, Chicago and whatnot. But Tampa's starting to cultivate, I think, its own we don't really care how you do it. This is how we do it attitude, which
Mhm.
I think is absolutely vital.
Right.
So I have to ask, I love the menu at Elevage downstairs. I went there for the first tasting of it. I mean, it's one of my favorite restaurants because it's a neighborhood place, but it's a hotel place.
Right.
It's a destination, but it's very much an amenity in the hotel.
Mhm.
Tell me about the pistachio creme brulee because I get weak when I think about it. I love pistachio and creme brulee is just decadent.
So that was the premise behind it. I have a I don't know, like you get fixated on things as a chef and you kind of just start
Well, fire.
yeah, you
I
start
mean, let's light the dessert on fire and see what. Oh, it makes it crispy and delicious. Okay,
for me, it'll be like a certain item or like, "Oh, I tried this. How many times can we use it?" It was black garlic for a
right.
while.
Oh yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah.
so I
Did you
started getting
smear it? Did you smear it on bread, or what did you do with black garlic?
vinaigrette with cashews.
Dear God,
So good.
mother of
Um,
pearl.
so
Okay,
the
continue, please.
so I got this product, that was pretty awesome. It's like, I think pistachio peanut butter.
Ooh,
So it's kind of what I've been using
that's
for the base of it.
$1,000 a jar.
Oh my gosh. It's not cheap, but totally
Sure,
worth it.
sure.
So when you eat it, it doesn't feel like custard. It
Okay,
feels like a cream.
because not everybody digs custard.
Right. And it's not kind of like loose feeling, like and delicate. It's like it's got some balls behind it, put it
Right.
that way.
It's got
Um,
real dimension to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot going on. And it stands on its own. A couple of raspberries, that's it.
So it's just the pistachio butter and then a sugar top and raspberries, or what?
Yeah, there's more to it, but
Well, I want to know. Now, I see. On a previous episode, we talked with Chef Richard Hales, and it was like a deposition about his fried rice because his fried rice just knocks me out.
Mhm.
And when I saw the pistachio creme brulee, I thought, you know what, this is where I'm going to put the screws to John because this is a problem.
it is it's a fun one that simple to execute.
Right.
But like when
But
people
it's such
have
a
it,
great finish on the meal.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just we get great feedback on it. And people are like, that doesn't eat like creme brulee. I'm like, that's the idea. But it's totally made that way.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's
Do you have another fun dish that you like to? That's
I mean,
on
the short
menu?
rib has been on the menu since I've been back. It's really I'm not gonna say like lowbrow, it's collard greens and grits, right? The short ribs smoked and then we sous vide it for 2 days. So it eats like steak,
Right.
but it doesn't. Like you can slice it, but it melts in your mouth. It's so weird. But really, really cool. The collard greens are, we add smoked soy sauce to it. There's just a little level of everything in there.
Sure.
Grits got smoked Gouda.
Oh hell!
And then it's got this maple bourbon sauce. And it's funny because I'm like, it's pretty heavy.
My A1C just went to the 34, but go ahead.
It's the one that I've just never taken off.
Right.
And, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
It's a comfort food, and especially when people travel, they want something on the menu that says, "Oh, okay, that looks like human hands have touched it." You don't necessarily need everything tweezered out, or, some sort of, pearls that are put on it or whatnot. That's just straight up comfort. That's like a comforter.
I think it's fun because people will come in like, "Oh, I'll have the short rib." But when they try it, they're like, "Oh my God, what is this?"
Right.
And that's kind of what I like doing.
Right.
You got to draw people in. We're, part neighborhood, part hotel, part destination.
Right.
There's a lot going on there. Some people will come for a filet, but then like, "Oh wait, I had that short rib." Or like we just started doing, it's kind of under the table because we're still working out the tweaks. We started doing a tasting menu Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays.
Wow.
It's 4 courses, hot, a cold, an entree, and a dessert. And it's just, I have 5 chefs below me, and a lot of that is just for them to have some fun, and
Give them a little room to run with.
right,
Right.
for those people that come to the hotel pretty often, they come in, they're like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're doing this because we want to try newer things."
Right.
And we changed the menu, but not a lot. Quarterly, maybe. This gives us, and weekly, we try to make it a little bit different every time. So we've been working on that, and that's kind of a cool outlet. Being that food and wine themed hotel.
Awesome. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned sous vide because I have Chad Johnson to blame for me getting into sous vide. So I saw it on Top Chef and I'm like, huh? And then I went and priced it and everything was like a $1,300, immersion circulator. I'm like, it's a lot on my budget. And then Richard Blais came along and miniaturized a lot of stuff, and it made it popular and whatnot.
Mhm.
But it finally got to the point where you could just buy them for about $100, and now I have 3. And what he taught me, this is not Chad Johnson's interview, and I apologize about that, but I think you fit in that mold so perfectly because, I get a sense that you're curious about how to use familiar ingredients in a way that like provokes and soothes and comforts. But what he told me is we don't want people to know we do sous vide. We want to make it the way it's supposed to be made to make it the best. If we use sous vide, great. We're not going to just like sous vide,
Yeah.
and that's the sense. It's like, oh, would the greens be better with a little smoke? We'll put a little smoke on them.
Right.
What can we do to make this something? And my God, sous videing short ribs. I've done it once, and it just they're so melty and good. And they just take all the tenderness and put it in just one and it cooks in its own juices.
Yeah. That's so great.
So when you bring someone from out of town, what's the Tampa food that you baptize them with?
That's hard because everybody who comes to visit comes to see me.
So what do you make them?
I have them usually come to the restaurant.
Yeah.
And just show them a good time and kind of get to show off a little bit. Because I don't get to see a lot of people from.
You gotta come see me at work.
Yeah, you have to come. Yeah, basically, I have to work, so you have to come here. It's just fine.
Right.
I get to show off a little bit.
Right.
And I send them to everybody that I know.
It's a hell of a thing to be proud of where you work and what you do.
Yeah.
I
mean, I send people, I'm like, if I can get you in the Berns, I'll do that. I said, if you want a completely different experience, go to Haven. Or I send a lot of people to Wild Child.
Right.
I know Rob personally, and we both worked for Todd English at 2 separate points, 2 different, and 2 different generations of staff that were there.
So.
And he's just like, his food is fun.
Yeah.
Atmosphere is crazy.
Yeah. I would eat anything growing up, except for Brussels sprouts. And I went to Blue Zoo in Orlando, the Todd English restaurant at the Swan, that was at the Swan and Dolphin.
Yeah.
And they shaved them and then crisped them up a little bit. And I was like, okay, I guess I like them. I just had them. I had grown up, and I'm sorry, Mom, but she put them in boiling bags with cream and put them in the, it was the 70s. Nobody, tweezered anything.
Yeah.
And they shaved them. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I worked at Locale Market for a while in St. Pete with the chefs there, and they cut them in half, dropped them in a fryer, and then put them on the grill, and then put them with fish sauce. And I'm like, now that's a thing. And I had to do it at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's I have total appreciation for the Todd English restaurants and Olives and all the great concepts that he does, and he was way ahead of his time too.
Yeah.
But yeah, you find your little things that kind of light you up. And you're like, oh, I guess I like this too. I got to do this too.
Yeah, the bravas that are on the menu. Totally took that
the
from
patata
him.
bravas.
Yeah.
What is his style, and what did you borrow?
Basically, it's just sweet potatoes that you bake.
But they're sweet potatoes. They're not regular potatoes.
No, they're sweet potatoes.
That's the difference. Less starchy.
Yeah, sweet. Fry them off. Leave the skin on because you want that crunchy.
Right.
We take shallots, garlic, and honey, and hit it in a pan. Let it foam. Fresh jalapeno, and you toss the fried potatoes in there. Right.
Right.
But the killer is you finish it with feta cheese.
Oh.
You would think so. It's one of the biggest sellers that we have. Because of the spicy,
Feta.
the sweet, and the salty.
Yeah, feta's got like a low down creaminess to it. It can be crumbly. I'm again telling you your job, but I'm a big fan of feta. The feta holds an exalted place in my house. Salads, you put it on anything, and it's awesome. But I have to think about it with potatoes now.
Oh, so good. I do it everywhere.
It's good when people start whispering. Oh, so
I do a lot of that.
I can't believe I got to eat that. And then lastly, is it devil crab or deviled crab? What do you use? We're asking everybody, so no, you're not on the spot.
I first lived in Brandon when I first moved here, and I would drive, what's that? Not 60. Is it 60? I don't know, that back road.
Adamo Drive. Oh, no, Causeway. It was Causeway.
Yeah.
Causeway Drive. Causeway Boulevard.
It would always say devil crab.
Mm-hmm.
And I would drive by it all the time. Like, what is that? And you start seeing it. So it's got to be.
It's on the left-hand side if you're going down toward the port.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they used to make them by hand. I don't think they're there anymore.
No.
But yeah, they would make them by hand and sell them out of the truck and everything.
Devil crab.
Devil. Well done.
Thanks, sir.
All right. You're an OG now. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you for
Thanks.
coming, man.
Thanks for having
I
me.
could talk for another 10, 12 hours about various things I used to like that I really love now. So I
Awesome.
appreciate it. And I look forward to coming to Elevage and having the pistachio creme brulee.
Awesome.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you for watching Tampa's Table, a culinary journey. Please be sure to like and subscribe wherever you like and subscribe podcasts, and leave a comment about what your favorite dish is, what your favorite ingredient might be. Pistachio, is it? That's the correct answer, by the way, pistachio. And until next time, we'll leave a seat at the table for you.